How's it going, guys? I'm Matt Torx, and today on my quest to experience and give my thoughts on every game in the Fallout franchise, we arrive at Fallout 2. The sequel to the original Fallout released just 1 year after the original game, after Interplay Productions saw massive success with the first installment, selling over 500,000 copies worldwide. Gameplay and story-wise, it follows much of the same style of its predecessor, while expanding on the lore in new and interesting ways. Now, like I said in my last video, I had never actually played any of the pre-Bethesda Fallouts. So in this video, I'm going to be playing Fallout 2 for the first time, as well as explaining the history behind the game and how it impacted the franchise we know today. So come with me as I play Fallout 2 in 2024. The intro to Fallout 2 starts with a Vault-Tec animated presentation on the protocols for Vault Dwellers attempting to leave their vaults and colonize the wasteland. It also tells us about the GECK, a device created by Vault-Tec and given to certain vaults. This device is an important part to the overarching story of Fallout 2, and will come into play later. After that, it shows multiple dwellers opening their vault doors, only to be shot down by a firing squad of soldiers in XO1 power armor and carrying machine guns. We then get a narration summing up the events of the first game, how the powers of the world plunged the planet into nuclear fallout in the year 2077, and how years ago a Vault Dweller from Vault 13 left his vault and saved his world from a great and terrible evil. But after being shunned by the community he once considered himself a part of, he set out to start a new tribe in Northern California, a small settlement named Arroyo, to live out the rest of his days. And generations later, in the year 2241, we are a part of the very same settlement. And as the intro ends, the narrator leaves us with one final, ominous line.
But the scars left by the war have not yet healed, and the earth has not forgotten.
Comparing the intros of this game to the previous one, I love how we can already see Vault-Tec taking a more active role in the story right off the get-go. One of my favorite parts of the Fallout series has always been learning how the megacorporations like Robco and Vault-Tec use their power and influence to control or corrupt the people and places around them, even using the very vaults they promised as safety from the outside world as nothing more than experiments on the human populace. And it's so cool to see how elements like the Vault Boy developed over time. Getting into the game, we're introduced to the Elder, an old woman with one murky eye that welcomes us in as the Chosen One. She tells us that the land and crops of our village are dying, and without the GECK, or Garden of Eden Creation Kit, a device with the power to bring life back into a wasteland, the whole village will be doomed to starve. That's why she has chosen us to search for this legendary device. But in order to prove ourselves worthy of the quest, we must first venture to the Temple of Trials and face a number of challenges that test our might. So after picking a character to start with, we enter the temple to brave what is yet to come. As we enter the temple doors, we're quickly met with several giant ants. Luckily in this game you start off with a spear, so I was able to make quick work of them. Then, after opening a weird-looking door, I came into a hallway with two separate paths, one leading to a room with some scorpions and a chest containing some healing powder for the wounds that had just been inflicted on me by said scorpions, and the other path contained a door that could be unlocked using a lockpick, with another series of paths connected together. The end of the main path had yet another, this time stronger and unable to be opened door. So I just wandered around confused for a while, looking for a way out. I eventually found the correct solution by searching this random vase and finding a lump of plastic explosives. No idea how it got there, but I used it to blow up the blast doors and make my escape. But before I consider my trials finished, there was one last test I had to complete. At the exit of the temple, one of my fellow tribe members stood before me and told me that I would have to best him in unarmed combat to prove myself worthy. Now, since I always keep my strength stat high in Fallout games, it only took 2 punches to knock him on his feet and win the challenge. As a reward, I was given the jumpsuit of the original Vault Dweller to wear on my travels. With my status as the Chosen One secured, I talked with the Elder once again. She told me to journey my way to the nearby town of Klamath. Now, a slight hiccup occurred when I realized that all my stuff, my spear and any healing powder I collected along the way, got left in a chest at the temple. That I was supposed to collect after the fight. But I was able to grab a knife stored away in a chest within the village, so it wasn't a total loss. Looking back on this opening to the game, as compared to Fallout 1, I have to say that I think it is both an improvement as well as worse than the original opening. Now, on one hand, I like that it serves as more of a tutorial to introduce the player to this game's mechanics, like fighting, lockpicking, and using items, as opposed to just being thrown into a cave right out of the gate like in Fallout 1. But the major downside of that being that there is no variation. And after your first playthrough, it's pretty much doing the same repetitive introduction for each playthrough. A problem that would become widely apparent in future Fallout titles. Looking at you, Fallout 4. But with the wasteland finally at my fingertips, I was able to make my way to the town of Klamath. While I was there, I managed to actually get a lot done, including trading for supplies, helping this man named Tor defend his Brahmins from a pack of rad scorpions, buying a round of gecko's piss for everybody in the Golden Gecko bar, and almost dying to a stray Mr. Handy on the outskirts of town. It was also when I learned to save my game as much as possible in the older Fallouts to keep my progress, since any little movement I made forward could be taken in an instant. Something that I really should have been doing during my Fallout 1 video, as I died quite a bit. But then as I was talking to the townspeoples, one of them informed me that a gecko trapper had recently gone missing in a nearby cave. I obliged and went to the cave, but my small knife and vault suit weren't really enough to defend myself from the geckos scattered throughout the cave. So I decided to do a bit of scavenging, and I stumbled across this house in Klamath containing a pipe rifle with some ammo, a well-needed upgrade, as well as a broken radio. Based on conversations I had with some of the citizens, this was the house of a man named Vic, a tech trader who knows where Vault 13 is, and I was sent to find by my overseer. So I made my way to the den, running from bandits and holy men alike, all on my way to track down Vic. When I finally made my way to the den, I was told that Vic had been captured by a group called the Slavers Guild. As the name suggests, they were a group of people who sold and bought slaves, and Vic was being held captive by the leader of this group, a man named Metzger. I learned that Vic had attempted to sell a broken radio to Metzger, and then attempted to flee town before he would notice. So Metzger was holding the man captive until he fixed his radio. I convinced him to allow me to talk to Vic. He claimed to know the location of the vault I was after, but of course would only tell me if I could help him get out of there. We started by using the old radio that I found to repair Metzger's radio. He let me know that Vic still wasn't off the hook, and it would cost about $1,000 to pay his bail. Now, much like the previous episode, I had no money to my name, and didn't know any real way to get it. So this is where I decided to end my session for the time being. And overall, I personally think that this game is another good entry in the Fallout series. It has some lower points in the original, and difficulty-wise is just as tough, if not tougher than the first game. But when this game shines, it really shines. With great world building and storytelling that expands upon the role-playing and world building set up in Fallout 1, without really ever feeling like it steps on the toes of that game. And I understand why this game holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. As always, I would love to play it and games like it more on the channel, so if you want to see any more Fallout 1 or 2, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.